We are deploying autonomous AI into the physical world at a pace the current model cannot sustain. These agents execute millions of tasks in milliseconds, but they collide with legal, financial, and physical supply chains still settling over 90-day cycles. This speed gap fractures the global substrate. Fast-moving digital agents hallucinate consumer demand, exhausting local power grids before physical infrastructure can react. The friction across the global economy generates a measurable $96 trillion macro-systemic bleed. The cost extends to human biology. When legacy systems fail to keep pace, humans act as manual shock absorbers, leading to workforce exhaustion and cognitive collapse. This crisis stems from the 20th century extraction model. Centralized enterprises build tools in isolation, pushing them into the world based on probabilistic guessing rather than verified demand. Make no mistake, injecting exponentially faster technology into an asynchronous physical settlement system guarantees systemic failure and total capital loss. Institutions have attempted to manage this transition through consensus-driven initiatives like stakeholder capitalism. These frameworks failed because they relied on moral pleas that pitted corporate ethics against the legal fiduciary duty to maximize returns. Moving past this stalemate requires a transition from moral arguments to the laws of thermodynamic physics. To maintain high-speed digital capability without shattering the physical grid, institutions must shed their hoarded physical mass and untether their intellectual property. This kinetic decoupling allows intelligence to move to the edge while preventing grid disruption. Adapting to these physical limits provides the mathematical framework to eliminate systemic friction and maximize shareholder return on investment. To build a functional global architecture, we must view algorithmic intelligence as one tool among many, rather than the brain of the planet. This diagram shows the full spectrum of advanced technologies: artificial intelligence, quantum computing, CRISPR, kinetic robotics, and 3D printing, currently operating in isolated silos. These technologies require a physical anchor, the biological counterparty. This layer operates strictly at the legally defined local or regional level. Universal credentialing at this local level empowers the community, the social swarm, to authorize intent and verify reality on the ground. The localized workforce then performs combinatorial innovation, synthesizing these isolated technologies to solve edge-specific frictions that centralized engineers cannot perceive. By solving these high-resolution frictions, the local workforce mints multi-dimensional intellectual property, turning the edge into the primary research and development engine of the planet. To connect these local innovation hubs globally, the architecture uses an agnostic, supranational sovereign coherence orchestrator, the 4D counterparty. The legacy enterprise model hoarded raw personal information in centralized data lakes, creating massive cybersecurity risks and compliance overhead. This architecture processes data locally at the edge. The airlock generates mathematical proofs of market demand, transmitting only those verified patterns to the global ledger. The central machine translates these proofs of human intent and local sovereign law into automated policy as code. The 4D counterparty takes zero custody of fiat currency, corporate IP, or raw data. It hovers in readiness until the local community cryptographically clears the execution. Eradicating the data lake through policy as code drops corporate cyber liability to nearly zero, while ensuring the machine economy serves the living system. Advanced capability only pulls down from the central network to the physical world when it meets a specific threshold of multidimensional alignment. Execution triggers only when 4 dimensions precisely align: cyber logic, physical capacity, social consent, and sovereign law. These pillars represent the PEIS constraint: privacy, equity, inclusion, and sovereignty. PEIS functions as a hard-coded thermodynamic scaling limit. It is an impassable computational airlock rather than a trailing corporate metric. Enterprises that refuse the PEIS constraint remain outside the network, absorbing the high-variance costs of legacy marketing, lobbying, and regulatory fines. Those that submit to the constraint see the network actively recover these legacy expenses, converting them into frictionless network yield. Passing this constraint provides the ultimate financial arbitrage, making ethical compliance the mechanical prerequisite for enterprise survival. This dual-axis ledger tracks capital, governed by the zero-custody thermodynamic bank. Exactly 8% loops upward for orchestration. The remaining 92% cascades down to the localized edge to regenerate physical infrastructure. Centrally, the universal coherence asset uses zero-knowledge proofs to dynamically price investments. Deploying capital exclusively into mathematically pre-cleared demand eliminates the traditional risk of investment failure. This allows systemic gatekeepers to bypass antitrust blockades and integration friction. By acquiring and globally scaling the intellectual property minted at the local edge. This architecture converts speculative capital into deterministic kinetic returns, safely deflating the $15 trillion tech bubble. This design rejects the extractive singularity promised by artificial general intelligence. It establishes intelligence augmentation, fusing human indigeneity, the planetary substrate, and local reality into one coherent living system. This achieves the living consensus, an authority stronger than isolated corporate or state power. Guided by the thermodynamic routing engine, humanity now functions as a unified swarm of innovation and localized care. Reversing the traditional market gravity through demand-out physics ensures the borderless machine economy remains permanently subservient to the living system.